I was sweating you while trying to adjust to your weather. Writing love letters secretly, I really know better. It was way too fast, way too good, way too much for sure. We thought we took our time, but in this mess, there's no one left to go.
Queen. What is playing in the living room?
Oh, that is Diamond Young serenading us with No Encore.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, the Queen is back in the stew, so I'm excited to hear everything she decides to come out with.
Streaming on all platforms.
Well, I don't think it's streaming anywhere yet. I think we're getting the exclusive.
Oh, it's one of them moments.
Yeah, I looked at her Apple Music, and I could only find 2 of her singles on there. So I was like, oh my gosh, girl, but we need this as well. What are you doing? So yeah, be excited. You're just gonna have to keep replaying the intro because and the outro because that's all of the song you get for now.
All right. Well, I'm here for that. You know, I'm always here for a world exclusive on the living room.
World premiere.
How are you today?
I am well, and I want to ask you the same, Queen. How are you?
Oh, you know, I'm all right. I think I'm I'm good as a human being, but I'm like, you know, I'm not good as a dark-skinned woman, I guess. Double consciousness, triple consciousness, quadruple consciousness, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna get into that. So, but we are here for you, Queen, and I am here for you, and I love you. And you and all of your beautiful dark skin and pigment and melanin is celebrated over here this way.
I appreciate you.
And I just hope that we can find a way to encourage everyone else who feels that way to amplify their voices loudly and drown out the noise. But we will get to that topic. I first want to just remind you guys we have a giveaway, the big ass, black ass giveaway for our first annual giveaway, y'all. We have never done this before. We are super, super excited. It will start on July 15th, so keep your ears to the streets. I already have 5 packages in. Y'all, this is going to be a huge giveaway. You're going to get all kinds of stuff. Almost everybody who has sent stuff for the giveaway has given more than one thing. So just know this is about to be it's going to cost me like $50 probably to ship the hoe. So y'all just better get excited. Remember, it is going to be posted on the Living Room 44_40 Instagram. That'll be the only place you can enter the competition.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
You'll need to like the post. You'll need to send it to your story. You'll need to tag us when you do. Otherwise, we won't see it. Then you'll need to follow our page and you'll need to comment on there. We will tell you all the details on the actual post, but just know the only place you'll be able to enter the giveaway will be on at Living Room 44_40 Instagram. That's the only place you're gonna be able to get on there. Not on my page, not on Sid's page. So pay attention, y'all. Follow directions because I'm gonna tell y'all now. If y'all follow one of the 3 instructions that I give y'all, I might have to slide in your DMs and be hateful to you because I'm going to be mad. Like, follow all the directions, y'all. You do not want to miss this giveaway. Tell your friends about it. Repost the videos that we posted so far so that lots of your friends can get in on the fun. Heck, if they're your roommates, you know, y'all can go splitsies on some of the stuff that you get in the mail. So I'm just saying.
Okay.
But yeah, that is our giveaway announcement, y'all. Keep your ears to the streets. We're going to keep posting about it.
Yes, ma'am. That's exciting. I've seen, of course, the things that you've been getting in the mail because it's for the people who do not know the behind the scenes. All of the giveaway stuff is being sent to California because the good sis, Aisha, is the one that is president of the giveaway portion of our podcast. So it definitely
and I'll try not to take any of your things. Okay, y'all. I'm gonna try.
It looks
but no, the people
dope.
have been awesome. Literally, somebody sent us some skincare for the giveaway, and they were like, "Sydney and Aisha, thank you so much for allowing my brand to be a part of this. Here, these things are for the giveaway, and these things are for y'all." So that's really dope. The giveaway has been amazing so far, and it has introduced Sid and I to some pretty dope ass people in the meantime. So we're really excited. We're definitely gonna keep this wave going more than one time for sure.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing who wins. I hope the people listen to all of your directions. I feel like I'm getting that feeling when you're talking to a guy and you say more than one thing in a text and he only responds to one.
Yeah, you send a paragraph. So you cheated on me, and you put your penis in her butt, and you gave me an STD, and then you had a side baby, and then you bought that bitch a Sprite, and then niggas be like, I did not buy that bitch a Sprite. What are you talking about?
It's PTSD. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
So.
Okay, well, let's move on into the look back at it. Sydney's never going to join me on this.
I am not. It's look back at it is like what your half of the monthly review segment is called. I still don't have a title for mine yet. Something much more.
You're the vulgar one. I don't know why you're trying to play me.
I'm gonna have a title for this that's much more Candace Owens.
Oh, gross. Well, do you want to start or do I want to start? Because I have 3.
See, I only have one. Again, with my conservativeness, I kept it to one. Okay. So I think maybe we should go one, and then I'll go one. Give you some time to breathe, and give us some time to process. I don't know how that goes. Do you want to start and do one, and then I'll come in?
Sure.
Okay. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. So, if you have not heard, and this, let me preface this by saying, this is a thing, a person. An entity that I have avoided at most to all costs on this podcast, and that is talking about Kanye West. I don't care if you like the shoes, people. I don't care if you like the tattered clothing. I am not a stan. I'm not here for it. I'm not here for the coonery. I'm not here for white frat boys in MAGA hats, nor am I here for niggas in MAGA hats. So with that being said, at all costs, I have tried to avoid this, but I pretty much can't ignore this one. Kanye West decided that he is running for president, y'all. Why is this important, and why would I even bring it up? Because why would it matter? Y'all, is because of the, not detriment, because I don't think the numbers would be, soaring, but the fact that it would play on the black vote, and his whole, campaign is basically saying, oh, you blacks are always tricked into voting to Democrats. You literally have a white man saying, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Oh, the blacks are so confused. And first of all, Kanye, I don't know that you're one of us at all. Us kinfolk and kinfolk, first and foremost. Second of all, if you don't think that he should be able to speak for all black people, why the hell do you think you can? Because you have, from what I see, decided to take yourself as far away from blackness as possible. Mm-hmm. Now, Kanye announced that he wants to run and that he is taking off his MAGA hat. I don't even know what that means, if that means he's not pro-Trump anymore, because he did not specifically say that. He just said he wanted to take off his MAGA hat and run for president himself. He cannot get on the ballot because he has missed the deadline for, I guess, the opportunity to do that in most states as of right now. But he says that he thinks he will be allowed to still get on the ballot because of coronavirus. He says that he should be allowed to extend the date in which he can get that paperwork together, which, I mean, girl, you've had 4 years if that was the case. But anyway, so no, he cannot get on the ballot for most states, but he can be a write-in, which we saw 4 years ago that we had, I mean, I don't remember the number, but how many votes for Harambe? Mm-hmm. I mean, clearly people don't take the shit serious when it comes to write-ins. Again, I don't think it's going to be some substantial thing, but you've already had celebrities come out like, oh my God, I'm voting for Kanye. Being funny or what, I'm not 100% sure, but it is alarming to even think about that would even be an option, girl. It's just, it's alarming. So he announced this on Twitter, but he also had a interview with Forbes magazine, to which he said very alarming things, and I'm kind of just going to summarize them to save us all the drama. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, he will not be a part of the Republican or Democratic Party. His party is called the Birthday Party, in which he says, I'm going to call it the Birthday Party because I want us to all win. What? Okay, girl. He also says to say that the black vote is democratic is a form of racism and white supremacy. He also said and admitted that he has never in his life voted, and he just registered for the very first time to vote recently because he decided he was going to run for presidency. So now it's, I guess, important. Now I guess it is worth his ancestors dying for that, right? He also said that he was sick with COVID-19 in February, but no one believed him.
What?
He also says that he is suspicious of the corona vaccine, and he termed the vaccine the mark of the beast, which to that extent I'm like, black people have no reason to trust vaccines or, the medical field in general, so I'll take that with a grain of salt. But now he also believes that Planned Parenthoods have been placed inside cities by white supremacists to do the devil's work, and that he is, quote, pro-choice. I wanted to bring up that Kim Kardashian, I'm not 100% of the season, I want to say it was 17, had a whole episode of going to Planned Parenthood, and her whole episode was about how people have a misconception of it and think it's just, you know, an abortion clinic and that's all they do there, when they do a lot of things for women, including, you know, testing for STDs and women's health screenings for people who can't afford it and don't have insurance, you know, can't afford to pay for it, etc. So she literally had a whole episode about how it's not an abortion clinic and it really doesn't make sense to be anti-Planned Parenthood. But anyway, whatever y'all got going on in y'all's home is y'all's business. And when they asked him about his foreign policy, he says he hasn't developed it yet. He's pretty much just going to listen to whatever the experts say. But that he wants to run the United States on a Wakanda from the Black Panther movie style.
Was that the last thing you was gonna say before you started to give your opinions on things? Or is there is there more that Kanye said?
It's Kanye, so it's. I mean, I suppose there's more things. You can go, of course, read it if you feel like it. It's not going to be riveting and exciting. It's really just going to give you probably a migraine, like it did myself. But he said, I'm not saying Trump's in my way. He might be part of my way. And Joe Biden, like, come on, man, please. You know, Obama's special. Trump is special. We say Kanye West is special. Yes, guys, he's speaking in third person. America needs special people that lead. Bill Clinton, special. Joe Biden is not special.
You know what? To be quite honest, he had me until he also threw Bill Clinton in there. But because I was like,
well,
okay, I see.
Again, not an intelligent person in my opinion.
I felt like I could kind of see where he was going there for a second, and then when he said Bill Clinton, I was like, okay, now I lost exactly what your definition of special is. But I mean, not that it, but then also at the same time, he did say Trump was special, which again, Trump is special now, and I don't. I'm really not trying to be funny when I say that, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like, you know how when you don't like somebody, there's only certain things that really just aren't true, and you know how people like to say things like, you know, like when you don't like somebody, you try to take everything away from them. But it's like, no, Trump is special. Whether you want to say that's good or bad, Trump is absolutely special.
Oh, yeah. Special is not a positive
same thing with
word. You can take whatever connotation you want.
Exactly. So, like, same thing with, I was like, okay, Barack Obama absolutely is special, even if it's just the fact that he was the first black president. I was like, okay, I see where he's going. But then when he said Bill Clinton, I was like, what exactly was special about Bill Clinton? I mean, I know, you know, the crime bill, but I mean, even then, Joe Biden wrote the crime bill. So I'm like, how... he kind of lost. He lost me there is all I want to say. I'm just going to leave it there.
He will continue to lose you. What he says, it says, on his previous support for Trump, he says, quote, Trump is the closest president we've had in years to allowing God to still be a part of the conversation. No, girl. He also says, on his MAGA hat moment, he says, one of the main reasons I wore the red hat was as protests to the segregation of votes in the black community. Girl, when did you say that? Also, other than the fact that I like Trump hotels and the saxophones in the lobby. What?
When I say I think that something is wrong with Kanye, I'm legit not trying to be funny. Like, I feel like something is definitely, I don't know if like on a chemical level, I don't know how that kind of stuff works. I also want to be very careful with, you know, diagnosing him because I'm not a professional. But just listening to, you know, your summary of what he said, it just doesn't sound like cohesive thoughts. It just...
No, it's very scattered. Literally, you read it word for word, like what they asked him and what he said. You're like, wait, I'm sorry. This is transcribed in order? Like, who put this together?
Yeah,
like, no, it's in order? Okay.
And then didn't you say something when we were talking a couple days ago or at some point about them saying he is having like a mental breakdown?
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, I don't want to laugh at anyone's expense who's dealing with mental health issues of any sort. Like I said, again, I'm not a professional in that regard, so I just am trying to be, as far as Kanye's mental health, I'm trying to be compassionate because that just doesn't sound in mind at all.
No, I don't think it is.
And then
he also said that his coronavirus cure as president would be to pray. We pray for freedom. It's all about God. When you stop doing things that make God mad. Like, I feel like the way that he's speaking just sounds like Trump to me. Like the vocabulary isn't there, the thinking things through, not there, critical analysis, not at all. Even just reading facts, just not there. It's like, where do y'all get off just thinking that you can control a whole country and not having a fucking clue about what's going on?
But see, for me, I mean, Trump ruined that for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like having to have credentials, which I mean, of course, you know, I'm saying there are legit certain credentials that you have to be president. You know, you got to be 35, you got to be U.S. born, those kind of things. But as far as there being any kind of prestige, I guess, for lack of a better word, I can't think of the exact word I'm trying to say right now. As far as the presidency is concerned, for myself, Trump ruined that. So I'm like, well, I'm not about to judge Kanye for being just as ridiculous as Trump. If you can be white and do it, you know, hey. But I mean, it's definitely not the direction I want us to go, and I'm just saying I'm not about to come for him if people not coming for Trump the way they should be, because it's a shame that we're even in this place, right? Like, to think, because I mean, mind you, I know there were people that were saying that they liked Trump because he wasn't quote unquote presidential. So I mean, Kanye is like you just said, it's very similar. Like, he's not presidential. So I mean, like you said, it's a good thing that it is too late for him to be on the ballot, because he might literally just get votes because people are tired of presidential quote unquote presidents. So. Woo.
Yeah, and then like the whole rest of his interview is basically just talking about God this, God that, which, whatever, that's your cup of tea. You know, I'm pro-life because the Bible says so. On the death penalty, thou shalt not kill. The end. We're going off the Bible, and that's it. He also had a couple. I guess like the topics that just literally made zero sense, which further, I guess, supports the idea that people, I guess sources, quote unquote, are saying that he's having a mental breakdown. He hasn't said it. To my knowledge, his family hasn't said it. So I don't know that to be true, or if people are just trying to give him a way out for when he does things that are erratic or something. I won't read the part that he says about Black History Month because it literally makes no sense. But I do want to read the part about China, which also makes no sense, but it entertained me. So when Forbes asked him about how his presidency will be towards China, he says, "When I become president, let me make some promises. The NBA will open all the way back up from Nigeria to Nanchang, and the world will see the greatest athletes play. The world will experience the change in their element. The money is going to come back. I love China. I love China. It's not China's fault, that disease. It's not the Chinese people's fault. They're God's people also. I love China. It changed my life. It changed my perspective and gave me such wide perspective." What? My mom, as an English professor, taught English in China when I was in 5th grade. Again, I have no clue what that has to do with foreign policy. What does the NBA have to do with being president? I
will say, you know, that whole, like, you know, say something nice. I do like that he said it is not their fault, the virus. I think that's important to be very clear on.
You know, and so does Trump sometimes. He also said that the Mexican Americans were very, very good people, and has Goya Foods CEO up here looking like a dumbass. Which pisses me off because I have all them goddamn cans of beans in my cabinet right now.
Oh, what's up with Goya and Trump?
The Goya Foods CEO was like supporting Trump, saying he was like just the great president, and you know, he had the best interests of his people in heart. And it's like, girl, Mexican children in dog cages. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know, man. People got weird motivations for things, and there's always some motivation, right? There has to be some reason why you would align yourself. Or then again, there's just people who just think very differently. I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy to deal with this nonsense. What a mess. There were some other things you said that Kanye said that I wanted to talk about, but I don't forgot now. I should have brought a pen to take notes.
Well, I'll send you the article and we can have a chit chat about it. You know, listeners, feel free to send us your ideas on it or your thoughts, whether it's pro or against. I would like to clarify that I'm never looking for anyone to agree with everything I say. I don't think that that's fruitful. But please, sure, send me your thoughts on the Kanye shenanigans. I'm not a fan, but that's my personal feelings about it. As a descendant of enslaved people. I don't think it's cool to say it was a choice and to prance around in a MAGA hat while your people are being slaughtered. But, you know, hey, if that's your tea or if that's not how you see it, I would like to hear your opinions about it as well.
All right.
You could take the next one, Sid.
Okay. My one and only month in review is for Halle Berry. Halle Berry. So I was reading this Variety article, and it said that Halle Berry was preparing for a role, but she hadn't been officially cast as a trans man. But there was a lot of backlash, partly because she was doing an IG live video, and I think this is where all the discussion is rooted in. Like, she was talking about the character and her playing the role on an IG live interview, and during that IG live she misgendered the character several times. So I guess the people who were already on some like, girl, you are sis, why are you playing this part? Then to hear you talking about the part and you don't even know how to gender the person, is just like, no ma'am. And so there apparently, and this is also information for our listeners and for us as well, or maybe even just me, because I hadn't watched this yet. There's a documentary on Netflix called Disclosure, and it's all about how cis people playing trans people in the media, or excuse me, in film and television, has cultural consequences. And so that's something I wanted to watch, but I already knew that was problematic. As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh girl, what? But also the account thanked Halle Berry for backing out of the role. So she did, like, after all the backlash, say, you know what, y'all are right. But it was interesting though, because she said that originally she wanted to deep dive into the character, and that was like, why she wanted to play it. And I was like, you can deep dive. This is of course my personal opinion on it. You can deep dive into the experiences of other people without having to play roles especially when those people are already having a hard enough time getting those roles. So for me personally, I think that's why I know it's problematic. And then when I was reading the article, there were several trans actors and actresses saying like, well, y'all won't even let us in the door when it comes to playing cis characters. Like, we don't even have an opportunity to try. So there's absolutely no way in hell y'all should be playing trans roles. And I was like, yeah, no, that makes total sense. It also makes total sense that even if y'all were able to play cis characters, I don't think that cis people should be playing trans characters. But I actually don't know where I fall yet on trans people playing cis characters, because I feel like to me, equality would be trans people playing trans characters and cis people playing cis characters. But just to me, because again, normally my argument for this is on the basis of I don't want white people playing black people. Like, what was Julie? What was her homegirl name that they said should play Harriet Tubman? Julia Roberts.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm like, no, girl, you're white. Play white roles. So I feel like if that is the only basis for my argument, then I can't see why trans people should play cis people. But I'm also not a trans person, and again, I am willing to be educated in that regard if that is incorrect. But I definitely I feel like there's so much fear in being canceled these days that people aren't even able to admit, like, okay, I don't know enough about that yet. But I don't think people are trying to cancel Halle Berry. To me, I feel like she did the right thing. Of course, I would have wanted her to not have even taken the role to begin with, or have been thinking about it. But people are where they are. So to me, I respect the fact that she was like, you know what? I see that y'all are upset, and y'all are upset by something I actually have control over. So let me step back and let somebody trans play this part. But I also was looking up, because it was interesting, because when we were first talking about it on the phone, I was like, that's crazy. I wonder if Hilary Swank got, pushback when she played trans man in a movie called Boys Don't Cry that came out in the 90s, because I had remembered seeing that movie as a child, but as a child I couldn't conceptualize what the film was about. And of course now I understand that times have changed, so now there are trans people on television, right? And there may have always been, but I just know, like we were talking about, trans isn't something that I've always been cognizant of, that was an experience, you know what I'm saying? So there may have always been trans people on TV, but I just know that Pose is groundbreaking in the fact that it's that many trans people on one show. So I know that we are still covering ground, but say that to say, they were saying that Hilary Swank, the one article I was able to find, or that I read so far, said that she's getting backlash as of recent years. So, and that's what I thought was so interesting, because I was like, well, even then they didn't have social media back then. So when we're talking about backlash, I feel like most of the time it'd be coming from social media. So of course in the 90s we didn't have it. So I'm like, of course people probably were just as upset, maybe even back then, but they didn't have no outlet to say it. I feel like back then it was more so like a movie came out and you either went to see it or you didn't. We didn't know that this person was doing that and that people were preparing for this role. I feel like we have so much more information now because of social media. So we know things are coming before they happen now. Whereas before I feel like it was just, oh, this movie's out. they already made it. They already cast the people. It's too late to be upset about it. But I definitely, like I said, I definitely get it, because again, with the little bit that I do know about the trans community and their representation in Hollywood, I know that there are trans actresses and actors out there. So I was like, I don't know why Halle Berry was even in question. You know what I'm saying? When there are trans people available. But and then there were people saying like, well, if you want people to go see it, then you have to cast people who are already famous. And to me, I feel like that just continues the cycle, though, because at what point then are we going to transition to someone who's less famous?
It's not like you're going to make a movie with one person in it. You know,
and then there's that,
Why can't you cast supporting actors that are already famous?
Exactly. And that's what I was saying, too, because I was like, because I feel like if you just say, oh, well, we're trying to get y'all to come out, that's why we cast Halle Berry. I was like, well, I don't know about everybody else. And I can't remember her last name, but Dominique, who plays Elektra on Pose, I would go see a movie if I saw her name in the cast list. But that's because I just think she's a phenomenal actress, and it's because I watch Pose. And again, same thing with Pose, right? I didn't know who Billy Porter was before Pose. Billy Porter came from The Stage, if I'm not mistaken. But I still watched that show because I was like, oh, well, what is this? Let me check this out. Personally, and it's the same thing with me when it comes to skin complexion, right? Like, because people are saying, oh, the reason why I was listening to Wendy Williams talk about it, she was like, it's okay that Will Smith has been cast to play Serena and Venus's dad in the movie, because that's the only way you're going to get people to come out. You got to have somebody famous in it. So she was saying, so cast the rest of, like, cast Serena and Venus in the film as, like, people we don't know, but make sure that, you know, and she was saying that they already have cast brown skin actresses to play them. And I was like, I'm not trying to say I don't want to see Will Smith anymore, but I feel like Will Smith has been acting forever. Y'all not ready to see nobody new? So I was like, I feel like we could have found a brown skin actor to play that part. And I still like, I guess and again, because I want to do film, I guess I'm more detached now from just, oh, you're famous. Because to me, that don't mean you talented. It also don't mean we can't find somebody even quote unquote more talented to play that role who just isn't as famous. Same thing with Queen and Slim, right? Lena Waithe wanted to break a dark skin or a brown skin actress, and she did. So for me personally, I'm like, I would go see that film, because I know just because you're not famous don't mean you're not talented. If that makes sense. So I'm like, I don't need Halle Berry to be in this movie to make me go see it. So I think it's people's responsibility too to care enough to say, I know this is an important story, let me watch it. But also word of mouth too, right? Because I feel like there's going to be those people that go see it, and then we can all just tell everybody, oh, it was good. So then hopefully then people will go see it too. Because that's what happened with Pose. I was at Jawaris and Sydney's house. They were watching it. I was like, what is this? And they were like, it's Pose. And all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but I was just like, let me check this out. And it's been really, really good. And like I said, I wasn't familiar with not a single person on that cast before I started watching it. So, but I mean, I am glad that Halle Berry, to me, I think the only thing we can do in life is say, that was wrong. I'm sorry I hurt you, and then make changes. Right. So I'm glad she didn't just take it and go, well, because to me, to take it would have been, I see y'all are mad, but I'm going to go ahead and get this check. Which I thought was important, because I read another article that was saying that, like, the message that you send when you cast cis people to play trans roles is that you don't matter. You are not good enough actors to tell your own stories, and your survival isn't as important as our bottom line. And I was like, I don't feel like any of that is a reach. And I also just want to throw in there too that Scarlett Johansson had received backlash also for being cast to play a trans man in a movie called Rub and Tug. So she pulled out too. And so I was just like, wow, yeah. And then even that, like, and of course maybe Halle Berry didn't know about that, because again, I didn't know about it until today because I was researching Halle Berry. But I also feel like I would watch the crowd, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like it's intuitive to me at this point to know that if I got cast to play a trans role, I'm about to get chewed out and ripped apart. Now, mind you, people get ripped apart for things that, you know, aren't big quote unquote deals or aren't worth being cancel worthy. And of course, it's up to individual people to decide that. But I feel like that is a justifiable reason to be like, excuse me, what are you doing? You are not trans. Why are you playing this part? So, like I said, I'm just happy that Halle was like, you know what, y'all right. I'm gonna mind my business. So yeah, shout out to Halle for listening to the community that is going to be most affected, right, by the representation of trans people on TV. I think that's very important. I think it says a lot about her character. So, I'm proud of her for her actions.
Right. And basically, like you said, like, the most important thing is listening. Like, you can't say what's offensive to somebody else. And I don't necessarily think that means you got to tiptoe around life in general. But, yeah, I mean, that's not your community. So if all these people from the community is speaking out, then, yeah, you really need to evaluate whether or not it's important enough for you to take this role, if it's important enough to respect people who you would be representing.
Yeah, and see, the other thing about it, too, is that they were saying that, especially for men who play trans women, that it's basically an easy way to get an Oscar because you're quote unquote so courageous for having your masculinity challenged. But it's like, again, what message are you sending when this is these people's existence on a daily basis? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's courage, you know? So I was like, yeah, it's a lot. It's like everything else, there's multiple layers to things. And it's like you just said, because again, if we as Black people don't want white people telling us what our experiences are and that we're overreacting, same way I don't want a Black man telling me I'm an angry Black woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you should just listen to the people who are most affected by this and whom you're representing. So, yeah. But that was it for my month in review. I just wanted to say shout out to Halle Berry for, I feel like, doing what's right. So take it away, Queen.
Shout out to you, Halle. I'm gonna try to keep this part brief because I'm just sick of talking about him and thinking about him in general. But Donald Trump says that it is time to open schools. People, put your children back in schools and back in harm's way expeditiously because, in quote, in Germany, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, and many other countries, schools are open with no problem. The Dems think it would be bad for them politically if the U.S. schools open before November election, but it's important for children and families and may cut off funding if not. So basically, he's threatening to cut off school funding if they do not open back up. As we've seen, even college campuses have been like, oh, no, girl, we'll be taking this online, and that's just what it is. It's not that schools are closed entirely, and I'm sure it is a much harder experience for kids who are trying to learn online versus in the school element, because schooling isn't really just for what you're learning in the classroom. It's about socialization and learning other skills. But yeah, as coronaviruses continue to rise and people are continuing to die, most of us at this point probably know someone or know someone of someone who has died from COVID, if not actually just had it in general. But as they continue to rise, Donald Trump is insisting that schools need to be reopened. And I don't remember, I can't find in the article again where I saw it earlier, that basically somebody who's pro-Trump said basically if Walmart and the Home Depot can be open, then so can schools.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I see where this is the exact same thing as kids coughing on each other all day. I get it. Yeah, totally. So, yeah, I just was going to keep it short and sweet. But for one, per usual, Donald Trump is speaking out of his ass because he doesn't even have the political power to keep funding from schools, per se, because the federal funding is appropriated by Congress, so it would have to be passed there. Also, the main problem is, as far as funding, most schools are being funded by the states, by sales tax and by, taxes in general of the state. The federal government only allocates like around 8.5% of funding to schools from K through 12. So, America, we don't really give a fuck about our educational system and then wonder why we're behind other educational advances of other countries. But yeah, Donald Trump just thinks it's more important to keep that record going up of coronavirus, that he says also maybe about a week, maybe this week or last week, that 99 is what he said. 99% of cases are no big deal. Like they're just, they're 99% harmless. Okay, well, tell that to all the people who weren't able to attend the funerals of people that they love dying, or who weren't able to be in the hospital with people who were on ventilators dying. Tell that to them, because obviously it was more than just harmless to them.
Yeah, no, it's...
So, yeah, in usual look-back news, Donald Trump's a bitch, per usual.
Yeah, when I read that, I was like, is this a joke? Like, but I didn't read the part about whatever one of his supporters saying that it's the same thing as having like a Walmart open, which to me, I don't think that.
I was trying to find who said that because I want to tell y'all, but I can't find it again. So
I don't know who. I don't know who it was, but it to me, I'm like, they're not close at all. It's not close at all. Because to me, It gives me anxiety to be around people in general. It gives me anxiety now. Well, sorry, I should have said it gives me anxiety now to be around people. It didn't before, but now because of the virus and the media and all that stuff, the thought gives me anxiety. So when people invite me places, I'll be like, "Ooh, I would love to come, but probably not. I'll probably be right here in the house." But then say that to say, it really gives me anxiety to be in confined spaces with people. So like, to me, the thought, like saying being in a gigantic Walmart where you're moving around, where you're only going to be in there for what I know when I go to Walmart now, I'm probably in there for like 10 minutes. I have my list ready. I'm going straight to where the things are that I'm going to get, and I'm out of there as quickly as possible.
Yo, so you mean you're not in there for 7 hours a day?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Exactly, because that's what I was about to say. Like, being in a classroom with the same students and, like you said, coughing, sneezing, and children, especially depending on what age you're talking about, not even being able to conceptualize how serious, the coronavirus is as opposed to any other common cold. Because, again, flashback to what I literally just said about Boys Don't Cry. As a child, I wasn't able to conceptualize what that movie was about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm watching it, but I'm like, oh, I don't get it. It's just a movie to me at that age. So I feel like it's the same thing. Like, I think if I were a child, I wouldn't be able to conceptualize what's happening in the world right now. But then they also say that children are much smarter than that. So maybe I just wasn't, because there were so many things that happened in movies when I was little that I was like, I'm not sure what's happening right now, but, I'm here for this movie. So anyway, say that to say, definitely different. I know I personally could not be paid to sit in a room with children for 7 hours a day in the middle of a pandemic. I couldn't even be paid to sit in a room with adults all day.
And here's the thing, like, why are we talking about cutting funding when, again, it's not that all education has ceased.
Right.
When these teachers, I personally know a black teacher who has, I think he said 25 students, and since quarantine, he has only been able to reach about 8 of them via Zoom schooling. And the other ones, he has to figure out, okay, after the hours of Zoom schooling, he'll go get in his car and drive to other students to drop off, homework and assignments and, try to take them lunch if they need it or what have you. But they don't have the resources. Like, there are some schools and there are places in general in the country that are, we have to learn from home. Here, every kid take a laptop. Here's some instructions on how to use it. Even though, your home may not have internet. You know what I mean? It's like, we're already fighting an uphill battle as far as what kids have the resources to do. Again, 8 out of 25 kids for this entire length of quarantine have been able to get education from this. This is just speaking from one teacher that I know of. Just one. It's like, what would make you think it makes more sense to cut even more funding, girl? What are you talking about? We were not raised with your millionaire and billionaire status to be able to keep our kids in the top-notch private schools for their entire lives. Do you have, he just has no real world and real life experience, and it just makes me want to bop him in the forehead. Like, girl, what are you talking about defund? We're already defunded.
Yeah, and that was wild. And he also was talking about, I don't know if they said they were going to deport people if they decided to.
He said that U.S. students who were here, I think it was for college, though.
Yeah, internationally, right? International students.
If they are not in school, if colleges do not open, they're not in school. If they're doing online, they will have to be deported. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, and
there are just more things to worry about.
Right, and again, it's like, in the middle of a pandemic, just more things that you shouldn't have to worry about. And I saw it, and I was just like, this just seems so malicious. Like, what exactly could be the positive, behind that kind of an action? Because again, why is it any of your business if they decide to take their classes online? Because mind you, at my school, as far as I know, as of right now, I had no choice but to take my classes online. And mind you, I am one of those people that would have preferred to have taken them in class. But I also wasn't about to be like, no, you got to come up in here, even though you might get sick, and teach me this class. Like, it's like, no, you have to have a heart and understand that people have other, ways of existing, and that they might get sick and this, that, and the third. So I just think it's crazy that they're literally trying to force people to go sit in a classroom when, again, if they have the option of taking their classes online, you don't have other personal things to be worried about besides who you can deport because they wanted to take online classes and not catch a deadly virus. That, mind you, again, if people have different opinions on the coronavirus and how serious it is and this, that, and the third. So again, the media made everybody scared like this, period. Right? Or just the legit seriousness of the virus. So I'm like, how in the world are you going to be mad at people for just responding to the things that y'all have even done in the first place? Because we didn't ask y'all to put it on the media every 5 seconds. When I log on to YouTube and see 18 different videos I can click on about the coronavirus, I didn't ask for that. I came here to watch my favorite YouTube person. You know what I'm saying? So it's just wild to me that they really are trying to like deport people for being afraid to catch a virus that they claim is so deadly.
Yeah.
I don't know. This place is ghetto. I don't want no parts.
Okay, point me to the Black-owned planet expeditiously.
Right. Okay.
All right. Well, last thing, and look back at it. I had put this story off for a couple weeks, y'all. And I suppose it is time to bring it to the light.
Wait, is it August Alsina?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say I got that in my expectations.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I guess quarantine got the best of me. No, that's not true. I did this for a reason. There's a very specific reason that I don't think I can share yet, so I won't share that part. But for a specific reason, I decided to Google my name.
Oh, yeah.
And so the first thing that pops up is like my Instagram. That's an IMBD, Pinterest, some art thing. I don't know. And I'm just like looking, I'm like, and I get to this site called Boxed In. And I'm like, what is that? I've never heard of that. Oh my God, y'all. Wow. So when you go to Boxed In, it says, oh, natural Aisha. And then there's just like random pictures of me, mostly screenshots from my Instagram. And I guess it's just like a forum where people just post pictures and other people, I guess like Tumblr and Pinterest or what have you, can just comment and say whatever. So the first comment says, no surgery and no pullout required. And then it has a cartoon image of like jizz everywhere. I was like, ew, that's weird. And I kept scrolling. And the next one is like literally a picture of me that I posted from the weekend that I graduated. And it was just like a, oh, thank God kind of post.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody says she has a bachelor's of science degree, but dances at the booty club still? Question mark. And then he says, I'm hitting raw, but I'm definitely pulling out. Like, girl, what did I do? What did I do to you? The internet is a wild place because never on my Instagram, at least that I can even think of, have I ever posted a video on my page of me twerking, and specifically twerking in a booty club.
They must, you know what? I feel like they're talking about when you worked at Onyx for a little while. That's what I thought they were talking about.
I mean, probably, but the thing is, even the picture I posted from Onyx was from me bottle serving for literally, y'all, 3 days.
I know, but it's the internet. It's forever.
I know, but it was for 3 days.
They make you.
CIAA. I delivered bottles. I delivered bottles to VIP tables for 3 days, and they turned me into a hoe dancer. You're a boot.
You work at, no, he said you work at the booty club. He didn't say you was.
No. He said that I should still
work at the booty club.
She said she dances at the booty club.
Oh, I tried.
She said she has a bachelor's of science degree, but still dances at the booty club. No, girl, I don't. I mean, even if I did, what does that have to do with my degree? And what does the word
booty club is taking me out right now.
Like, damn, girl, even if I did do that, what does that have to do with my degree? And
you cannot be educated and dance at the booty club. Duh. You know how this works.
I have a PhD and shake this.
No, you know how this works. You are either pretty or you are smart. We have discussed this.
Yeah, no, what if I have to pay off the debt for my PhD, girl?
No.
Like, I can't work at the booty club?
Nope, not at the booty club. Anything but the booty club.
The next comment, I didn't really understand it. I guess it was a part of a song, but then it says, I mean, I see positive Black power shit on her page, thought shit, and her college grad shit, and booty club waitressing, ? Confused, but definite smash.
I told you.
What?
Listen, you cannot do all of those things. It is just too confusing for your constituencies.
Oh, y'all. Well, I would like to formally apologize. I'm going to take this opportunity on my podcast during my break of shaking my ass at the booty club, I guess, to say that from here on out, you have my word that I will stick to either Black power shit, thought shit, college grad shit, or booty club shit. I will no longer confuse y'all by posting them all. By being a multifaceted biatch.
Why aren't you famous yet? Because...
No, I literally, I'm going to read the rest of them and then I'm going to tell you. The next comment said, she fine. The next comment said breeding. what the hell does that mean? The next one says, a hotep nigga must be smashing. Like, well, I guess that depends on your definition. But if not, maybe you should point me to the hoteps that are smashing, because I was not there when I got smashed by the hoteps. The next comment says, win Mega Millions Friday. I don't know what this has to do with anything, but marry her and treat her like a queen and have lots of kids together. Mm-hmm. I guess that was okay. And the next comment says, this is my favorite one, and this is the last one. This is the one that took me out and that made me call all my friends and tell them about this. It says, no doubt that mile-long forehead has been ejaculated on multiple times by different guys. And I would like to say, you sons of bitches need to leave my goddamn forehead alone, first and foremost. Second of all, the ejaculation of one or more men have nothing to do with my forehead size.
Yo, mile long forehead took me out the first time I read it.
Oh my god.
That and definitely pulling out. Like, what is that supposed to mean?
It says, I mean, she's fine. I would smash, but I'm definitely pulling out. Like, because I
want you to have his babies.
I mean, I have a degree, but that booty club shit it's not worth reproducing with. But The other nigga said breeding, so I don't know. Am I worth breeding with or no? I'm not sure.
Oh my god.
So in this week's Look Back at It, feel free to Google yourself if you want a good laugh. I don't know if it'll be as gym worthy as mine, y'all. I was really taken aback.
I don't have a mile long
I didn't even know,
so I won't be getting.
I didn't know that pages like that existed, so I guess that's why it was so funny. But literally, when I got done reading it and laughing for like 20 minutes straight, and then I literally showed everyone I could. I sent the URL to everyone because I thought it was hilarious. But I was like, yo, I can't wait to get famous because this is iconic. This is hilarious. Wow, my forehead has pissed some of you niggas off, and I apologize in the most Black Power way for it.
Wow. I don't know. I don't have nothing to say. You know, mile long foreheads, booty club. Honestly, the most iconic forum. And I just love that you are so like, that you find this stuff entertaining. I might have been crying in the corner about my mile long forehead and not being worth.
I mean, when your whole life you get made fun of for your big ass forehead, I don't think it like literally to me, I'm like, a big forehead is obviously, it correlates with, I guess, the standard of beauty, I would say, because if people think I'm fine, but they also think I have a big ass forehead, I must be fine because of said big ass forehead.
Mm-hmm. That's what it is. I think they be like people be sending your pictures around like, oh my God, look at her big forehead.
Look at that big voluptuous forehead. Oh goddamn, I ejaculate all over that.
Vulgar.
Hell
See what I'm talking about?
I mean, that's why they like Rihanna out here in these streets. They like, look at that big ass forehead.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
I suppose.
I'm up on y'all's game. Y'all ain't fooling nobody.
I suppose.
Bitches is worried about getting big fake asses. You know what y'all need? Foreheads. Get a forehead implant.
Oh my gosh. All right.
That's what they're looking for.
And wrapping up, throw it back. What did you call it? Look back at it?
Yeah, look back at it. Yes.
Mm-hmm. In the booty club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hearing someone refer to a strip club as a booty club is just iconic, honestly. All right. That wrap up month in review / look back at it?
Yes, ma'am. We are on to Blank While Black. Sydney, do you have one for us?
Oh, I have two, actually.
Oh, perfect. Give my mouth a break.
The first one is quick and easy. Arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor.
Amen.
So one more time, please. Everybody, do what you can to help in that crusade, that effort. I saw a post the other day that was like, what did it say, 118 days since she's been killed? So 100 and probably 20 or so now, which is wild. So yeah, I just wanted to, bring awareness to that, keep talking about it, because I feel like I keep seeing posts now that keep saying like, I think they just gonna let this get swept under the rug. They think we're gonna forget, kind of thing, which is always my fear. So I was like, yeah, let me make sure I talk about that, because number one on my list. And secondly, in Blank While Black, do not be black and be a dark-skinned woman, because this world ain't got no love for you.
Here we go.
So I would just like to say that normally with our podcast, I try to, and Aisha as well, we try to do as much research before we come on here and talk about things. Like when we get into August Alsina and Jada Pinkett, I went and sat down and watched the August Alsina interview up to that point, because it was like an hour. So I just wanted to make sure that I heard everything that led up to it. But said it to say with this, because I wasn't going to give it a view, a watch, any kind of foot traffic. I did not watch the full interview, but I did watch 50 Cent and Lil Wayne as posted by the Shade Room, where if you haven't seen it, basically there was a kiki between these two gentlemen about exotic women, and 50 Cent was talking about how that just, that looks like it just got off the boat, and I'm just not used to seeing that. It's not something you're gonna see in the hood, and this and a third. And Lil Wayne is just laughing to me at his own brown-skinned daughter's offense, because then 50 Cent goes on to say like, y'all, it's my instinct to be like, y'all angry black women. And then Aisha sent me something earlier today, I think. These days be running together. Of 50 Cent commenting on Halle Berry like backing out of playing a trans woman, and some of his comments he was like making jokes like angry black woman this and da 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 da. And it's we already know about the different stereotypes when it comes to black women and how they're seen and how they're represented. And I just personally just don't understand. And what, another thing I was thinking about earlier today too, because I heard somebody say the only men that get up on TV, podcasts, just anything that would just have a lot of eyes or ears, are black men. It was the only men who get and disrespect their women, at least. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm not gonna say that isn't true. I'm also not gonna say it is, because I don't have white men friends, so I don't know what they do. And they, private conversations and even in their interviews and stuff, because again, when it comes to who I watch, when it comes to interviews and videos and stuff like that, it's always black people. So I don't know what white people do. I don't know what Hispanic people do. I don't know what Asian people do when it comes to their own women. But say that to say, even if they are, in the words of Michelle Obama, if they go low, we go high. I wish black men would go high when it comes to how they talk about black women, how they treat black women. So yeah, say all that to say, I am just personally at a point now where if you disrespect dark-skinned women, specifically, if you disrespect black women in general, you are dead to me. So, to say, and as we were talking about, I was like, I'm really glad that Power is over, because I would have swiftly never seen the end of that show if 50 Cent had said this beforehand. It's not to say he hasn't said things like this before. He may have, but this is just, the first time it's been brought to my attention. But I just feel like colorism is just a big problem. So is just anti-blackness, especially as it comes to black women. Like, it's like, and I've been having a lot of conversations about this lately, but like, just imagine, say to anybody listening to this that's not a black woman or that's not dark skinned, you go out to a George Floyd protest, get your ass whooped, and then you got to come home and listen to Lil Wayne and 50 Cent have that conversation, what that feels like, you know what I'm saying? And then again, and not talking about George Floyd, but his quote unquote twin brother, Stefan, I can never remember his name, Steven, whatever. The basketball player saying like the worst Stephen, Steven, I don't know. The worst thing. Bitter black women or bitter black baby mamas are worse than the police. And it's just like, again, I know why y'all do this to black women, because we're easy targets. You have literally nowhere else to put your rage and anger other than on black women. But it doesn't hurt any less. And it's not, because I have had people like DM me, and I'm not trying to say anything bad about the people who have, like, oh, Sydney, you're beautiful, da 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 da, and I appreciate that, but it's 50 Cent and Lil Wayne could never, in the words of August Alsina, make me feel bad about myself, my skin complexion, anything. And that's not to say anything about the way they look or anything like that, but it's not about me that I'm not upset for myself, because I'm at a point now, like that tweet that I had posted a while ago said, like, being dark skinned means having to have a whole nother kind of self-confidence. I'm at that level. I am worried about dark-skinned girls that are not there yet. I'm worried about dark-skinned babies that haven't been born yet, that'll be born into a world that'll make them wish they didn't exist because of the ways in which you already have to deal with all of this anti-blackness outside of the black community. and then to have to deal with it inside of it is just like, what? You know what I mean? So it's not me. I'm good. I'm over here like, they could never. Chris Brown could never. Kanye West could never. Just to name a few who have colorist lyrics. It's just, like I said, dark women who are young or who are at any age who just don't have that kind of self-confidence yet and shouldn't have to have that kind of self-confidence, but yet still do. So, I just wanted to say one more time for the people, if you disrespect dark-skinned women, don't call me when they get shot by the police and when, because I'm gonna be in the house like, oh, that is crazy. I don't know. I'm gonna be in the house on my ASAP Rocky like, I don't know nothing about that. I don't live over there. Right. And I said what I said. So I suggest you reel your homies in, because for me, even if you get mad at me, oh my God, I can't believe she said that. You should get your homeboys, because I didn't used to feel like that. I would be at the protests right along with the rest of the people. But now I'm like, black men really be showing up conditionally, and black women are supposed to show up unconditionally. And I'm just tired. To be 26 and to be this tired already is just like, wow. So.
Right. And the thing is, Black Twitter, Instagram, wherever, when people are talking about Jada and August and Will, right? You got all the memes in the world. People want to post it on their story. People have whole think pieces about somebody else's marriage, which is already bizarre to me. But y'all have whole think pieces. You don't mind taking the time out to comment on somebody else's relationship that has nothing to do with you, and yet somehow relate it back to yourself. And yet, where are y'all when you hear, if you are not of this opinion, if you hear someone in pop culture making a comment like this and kikiing over the same black women whose vaginas birthed them, you know what I mean? Like, y'all not pulling up. Like, I'm sorry, but nobody is for me, disrespecting dark-skinned men. And I came from a whole dark-skinned man. Like, to me, it is my fight, because that's something that is important to me. So how y'all can sit here and make a comment, a meme, a tweet, or whatever about every other pop culture topic, and y'all not pulling up for brown-skinned and dark-skinned women because they're quote-unquote not exotic? First and foremost, everything and everyone has come from blackness. Okay. Let's put that straight. So if there is any representation of the word exotic, it is blackness. The reason y'all are obsessed with mixed children is the blackness in them. Like, let's be real. Let's be real. It's the melanin in them that makes y'all so obsessed with these features and these looks. And I don't know, I'm sure everybody has a different definition of what exotic exactly is. But what we do know is that when people look at blackness and they see a feature that they deem it to be too beautiful to be quote unquote just black, y'all always want to comment on that, right? So where are your comments? Where are your memes saying, oh, fuck that, I can't relate to what 50 Cent is talking about, or I can't relate to Key King with him like Lil Wayne did? Like, first of all, you don't know nothing about exotic, because no shade, this is your second big white girl of the year. So what the fuck do you even know about Key King and about exotic women? First and foremost. Second of all, didn't both of you niggas come from dark-skinned black women?
Yeah, it's wild. And that was the wildest.
And back to what you said, I don't give a fuck about these niggas trying to, educate or put their beliefs on us, because these are not men that I would learn from. You know what I mean? Like, I don't look to them to be my political leaders or my civil leaders. Absolutely. I don't. Right. I'm good on that. The fact is, what you said is, where the fuck are the rest of y'all who, quote unquote, don't agree with them or who love and celebrate your black women? Why are y'all not shattering social media with your love for black women, for dark-skinned women, for your mothers, for your sisters, for your girlfriends, if y'all do not come from the same ideology? Or are you guys on some level suppressing and maybe self-hating yourselves and hating your girlfriends, your significant others, and hating your children? Like, because to me, it's unacceptable to not pull up for black women, no matter the shade. But it's unacceptable to decide that you're not going to pull up for dark-skinned women. Yeah, like, one of our friends, only one that I know of, because I was telling them, I'm like, when all that shit happened, I saw one like kind of like pop culture Instagram type page. It wasn't the Shade Room, it was something else, because I don't follow the Shade Room, but it was another one of those pages that said, in light of this bullshit, we're not going to post this interview. What we are going to post is all these black celebrity men with their black wives, with their black lovers, black girlfriends. we're going to post them. And it was like all dark skin and brown skin couples. And it was beautiful. And it was like, why can't we just just shatter social media with this? Why are y'all all reposting the interview and not reposting the love that you have? It does no good to only post the negative things that they say, because like you said, Sydney, it's giving them streams, it's giving them views. Why are we not posting things to celebrate Black women?
Yeah.
But y'all want to talk about, oh, I just learned about Juneteenth and look at my dashiki. Okay, cute, bitch. Pull up for Black women, period.
Okay, and again, it's just wild to me that, oh, if you're silent right now and you're white, it's racist. Okay, yeah, if you're silent right now and you just heard that, you are colorist, or you are... You're just, I mean,
or you hate yourself. You hate your mother.
Yeah, or you just don't care enough. And again, not that that's fine, but like, no, and that's fine, but just don't expect me to keep showing up, because like I said, I'm tired. I am tired. And again, and it's like I was saying, because, you know, we have Kalia's Let's Breathe Zoom sessions every Thursday. Shout out to our audience. If y'all want to tune into that, you can follow her at Kalia Michelle. And so
she's actually in my Black on Black support.
Oh, okay, well, we'll get there. So, but yes, so like in that session, I was just like, yeah, I just think it's crazy that we can be condemning of all these other people, but not of ourselves. Like, it's so much easier to call white people racist than it is to say, okay, I am a color racist, in the words of Ibram Kendi. Dr. Ibram Kendi. But it's just wild to me. Again, like you said, where is all of this, the anti of what 50 Cent said? I'm not trying to say there aren't people that didn't do it, right? I don't follow every Black man in the world, right? And even when I do get on Instagram, the first stories that pop up are women, because those are who mostly I interact with. So I'm not saying they didn't, but it shouldn't have been a question of whether you did or not. It should be so in my face that I'm like, oh yes, okay, it's here, it's
because
there.
The interview was in your face. And did you ask for that interview?
No.
Absolutely not. But y'all niggas wanted to share it a million times. And even if y'all provided your thoughts or be like, oh, these niggas is tripping, y'all for one didn't do that to the same merit that y'all shared the interview, and for two, y'all certainly didn't do anything to prove otherwise. Like, just being like, oh, that's crazy, or commenting on it, that is not enough. Y'all stand up and be loud about it. Like, come on now. These are people who look like your mother, who look like your grandmother. All you niggas so-called love your grandmothers. If I go push yours down the stairs right now, you're going to be ready to fight, but you can't even fight on social media. Get the fuck out of here.
Yes. So in another, for another example of looking for that Black-owned planet, I am trying to get out of here. So yeah, those are my, blank wild blacks. Queen, take it away.
Okay. Well, I had to have a come to Black Jesus meeting with myself. I was thinking about our last couple podcasts, and I was thinking about how it's important to pull up for the most marginalized of us, because that is a true representation of where we are as a society in general. What the least of us is going through is what all of us are going through. An injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. So what I wanted to point out was that I'm not knowledgeable enough, and I can come to that understanding, and I can admit that to myself. I'm not knowledgeable enough to call myself an ally. And when I'm talking about that, I'm speaking specifically about trans communities. I would like to consider myself one. I would like that anytime a conversation comes up, or a man or a woman, whoever, makes a comment about the trans community, I make sure I insert myself to say, absolutely not. If you are of this opinion, it's tacky and it's unacceptable, and you can have that conversation elsewhere, because you won't be having it around me, because it is important to me that I stand up for people, just people in general. Like, I don't have to give you your title of trans or gay or this. You are people. It is my job to stand up for people. Yeah. And with that being said, there was a podcast put on by one of our friends, Jessica's the one who did that. Actually, Jessica and Kalia, both of them. And I missed Jessica's because it was at the same time as Kalia's. And I haven't got to finish watching the one that she posted to her IGTV. I don't know if she actually has updated that one yet, but I missed part of Kalia's because I had an interrupting emergency call. And so I didn't get to hear all of the things that were said. And so it's not to put you on the spot by any means, Sydney, but what I wanted you to share with our listeners is what you took away from that. Because the conversation that Kalia had in her Let's Breathe Together, it's a Zoom call. If you want to be a part of the next one, it's it's July 16th. Right? I screenshotted it. Hang on. The 11th, I think, or 12th. Child, I don't know what day it is. The next one is July 16th at 7 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. It's called Let's Breathe Together. The link is in Kalia Michelle's bio. And I'm gonna post that on our living room page and all that, so you guys can be a part of it if you want to. But anyway, the last conversation was about basically being an ally. So I wanted you to share with our listeners any takeaways that you got from that, and if there was anything that you wanted to share that you thought that you maybe heard for the first time, or that you just it was echoed in the Let's Breathe Together Zoom chat.
This is one of the things that's like, I wish I had known you were gonna ask me that, so I could have like reflected on it. But no, it's okay. No, it's okay. I just wanted to say my answer might not be as good as I would want it to be. But I just know when you first said it, the first thing that came to mind was this idea that while we all sit back and say, oh, I just don't know enough to be out here doing this or saying that, like, people are dying. And so again, to me, it just comes back to the same thing with me being dark skinned and feeling like, oh, well, I don't know enough, or I'm just going to be silent. Like, okay, that's not good enough. So it's like, I think we have to be very bold, and we have to make these people important. And by these people, I mean all people, right? By being active. So whether that be, like, for instance, today I read about the documentary Disclosure. Did not know about it. And somebody actually mentioned it on the call too. So let me not say I didn't know about it. Let me say it didn't really click in my head like, oh, I need to watch that. Because I had watched Pose and Paris is Burning. I watched Dominique, who plays Electra on Pose. I watched her 30-minute, like, it's called My Life or something like that on YouTube. So say that to say I had already watched some things. But of course, and that's not to say, oh, I'm educated now. But I think that's why it didn't hit me like it did when the guy first said it on our Zoom call. But say that I brought that up to say, in the next 2 days, between tonight and tomorrow, I'm going to watch it. Because we don't have time anymore to say, oh, I'll wait. Like, we're literally in the middle of quarantine. If we don't have anything else right now, we have time. So that was my biggest takeaway, is that we need to act, and we need to act now, and we got to stop making excuses, because at the end of the day, any excuses we're making are just us not admitting to ourselves that we don't care enough. Because if it were anybody else, right, we would have learned by now. And it's like it's like I said earlier, I feel like I wasn't able to conceptualize what identifying as trans meant for a long time. But now I can, and now it's time for me to act. Like, I don't have time to waste. Also, I think it goes back to that same thing again of, like, making those posts, because I'm not trying to say that you don't need to be educated, but I feel like posting a meme about, like, Tony McDade, not a meme, excuse me, a post, yeah, like in your story or just on your timeline and hashtag Trans Lives Matter. You don't have to be educated to do that, but you can bring awareness. And even if under that post you say, I'm not educated about this, but I know something is wrong. Because I would like to hope, which I guess is not true, but that we all can sense that something is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Right. When so many trans deaths are happening, because again, people will go, oh, it's not that many, but it's like the trans community makes up like what, 1% of the whole population. So for there to be as many trans people dying as there are, that is a lot of people. You know what I'm saying?
I was going to bring it up anyway, because again, for us in particular, it has been a conversation that, for one, we've had with each other often, but also our friends who are doing forums right now, that again, guys, are very, very important to be a part of and to listen to and to tune in. Their IG lives, there's Zooms, there's, there's different ways to get in on the conversation. If you don't know and you're not educated, there are, again, because I say sometimes, like, it's not my job to educate you, like, go educate yourself. Same thing for their communities. It's not their jobs to educate me. So when people are taking the time to do it, I'm trying my best to take advantage of that. These are people who are being marginalized, who don't have to tell me what to do. Like, they can just, exist or try to exist. Like, that's their job, is trying to survive, basically. It's my job to help try to make them survive, because I do have privilege in some light. So again, very important conversations to be a part of in general, but it's like, okay, these things have been presented to us and in our face, etc. But the reason I brought up the conversation in general was that in June, Donald Trump had passed like some legislation to kind of try to undo some aspects of Obama healthcare that was saying that insurance and companies have the right to, I guess, like, they go on biological sex and they can decide whether or not they're going to cover trans-related health issues. And so Donald Trump and all of his genius decided, yep, I'm going to take away that right that Obama has been, trying to enforce or what have you. And that same week, 2 trans Black women were murdered. The same week that he passed this. And not only that, but the announcement that he was or trying to pass it or put it in legislation, it came out on the 4-year anniversary of the Pulse nightclub shooting. Like, his timing, like the same thing with his whole rally, like the Juneteenth thing. It's like he just intentionally tries to be incredibly divisive and controversial. He just wakes up every day, doesn't brush his teeth, and decides to be controversial. Like, every fucking day of this bitch's life. And it's like, well, if that is in the news, and that's noteworthy to know, like, he went out of his way to do this on the Pulse nightclub, anniversary of that, the biggest, like, mass shooting, I guess, of the LGBTQ community in history so far. He went out of the way to do that. So it's like, if that was worth it enough, if he knows and his administration know enough about it, then it's like, well, if it got all the way up to Donald Trump's little ass ears, then obviously it's something worth talking about and worth talking about loudly and being a part of the conversation of. And again, people shouldn't have to go out their way to teach you to be an ally. You should be trying to be an ally in general for yourself and for your people and for other marginalized groups in general. So I wanted to bring that up because 2 people were murdered that same exact week. I think you pronounce it Remy Fells, but it's Dominique Remy Fells and Rhea Milton was the other person. And I haven't even heard of them, and that makes me sad. Yeah. So I wanted to bring that up, but just basically how to be an ally. And thank you, Cindy, for sharing basically what you took away from it. Oh yeah, I had 2 more things too. Unless you wanted to go ahead and. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. No, you're good. I was gonna say there was also somebody on the call that it was a Black cis male, and he admitted that he had been raised in a homophobic environment or an environment that will produce homophobia. And I think that was important and symbolic in the sense that I think it's okay to admit that we may be these things, right? Whether it be racist or homophobic or transphobic, because the only way we're going to, fix the problem is the first thing you got to do is admit it, right? And I don't think it has to mean saying, oh, I'm a bad person. It's just this part of me I need to fix, right? And so I thought that was important. So I wanted to bring that up too, and saying that I think it's important that we admit those things to ourselves so that we can make changes, because we change the world by changing ourselves. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up too, that I remembered as you were talking, that somebody said was that one of the guys on the call, another cis Black male, asked how I can be an ally. Because sometimes I think too, if you want to, now again, it's like you just said, if this person is trans and they just want to exist and live, that is absolutely their business. But there are also, I know, people out there who identify as trans who are fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like when I listened to Horrible Decisions that you sent me, I know. Oh, that's what I was gonna share. I know the trans woman that was on there was saying, like, Janet Mock has chosen to come out as trans now, but at first she was living her life as a quote unquote ordinary woman, if that makes sense. But it's like, so there is a difference between saying, oh, I'm just a woman, and there's a difference between, no, I am a trans woman. And I think also when you identify as trans woman, then also wanted to be an activist, if that makes sense. So I was bringing that up to say that if you are fortunate enough to either just watch the stories, whether it be Pose or Disclosure or the different films that are out there, or watching, like, I watched Dominique's story on YouTube. And if you type in Electra from Pose, if you want to watch it, her real name will come up, and you can type in her name on YouTube to watch. It's a 30-minute video. I thought it was really, really good. Just her experiences. But say that to say, I don't think there's anything wrong with just saying, hey, what can I do? Because I don't know. Because I literally was like, before we wrap this call up, I'm just go ahead and tell you what you can do for me as an ally to a dark-skinned woman. I can't speak for all dark-skinned women, absolutely not, but I'll go ahead and tell you. Unfortunately for us, we didn't have a trans person on the call, male or female, so we weren't able to just get that from someone within the community, and I wish we could. But again, I think until then, I think we can substitute that from just watching the stories like the ones that I just brought up. So I think, again, you can always just go on Google, right? It's the same thing we want white people to do. Hey, what books can I read? What videos can I watch? What movies can I watch that will help me learn more about the trans community? So I think it's really that simple. If you don't have somebody that you can, just ask. But if you do, and you know them well enough, or at least you know them to be someone who wants to be that kind of activist, then just ask. So that was it. Yeah. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah. And I wanted to share, you just brought it up, the Horrible Decisions podcast episode that really, I listened to it. It came out October 13th of 2019. So that's probably about the time that I listen to it. But it was Mandy was on vacation. So Weezy was in the studio and had guest host Tahoe from So Shameless podcast and Hope Disguided. She has a book coming out called Becoming Hope. But anyway, it was a podcast and the title was Am I Transphobic? Featuring Giselle and Tahoe. Now, in general, I think at that time I was just listening to every episode they put out. So I don't know if the title specifically like drew me to the episode or if I was going to listen to it anyway. But I just thought that was an episode that was incredibly important. And I just shared it with as many people as I could and as many people that I knew wanted to do better specifically. I've shared it with other cis heterosexual men. I've shared it with girlfriends of mine because I thought it was an episode that was really relatable for one. For those of you who don't know, Tahoe is a very what I would call a very New York nigga, right? So he's, like hardcore. He's rough around the edges. But, like he has pictures on his page, with his gay friends or his this or that. And he's constantly having to defend his friendships like, guys, I'm allowed to have friends who are queer. Like, it's okay, guys. Like, I won't die, you won't die. That doesn't mean they like me, doesn't mean I like them. It just is what it is. But he kind of had his own come to Jesus moment on the podcast and was basically like, I will, say now. And I would like to say that they had the conversation beforehand that said, basically, if I say something offensive, the point of this podcast isn't like, oh, I'm going to go out my way to do so. But if I accidentally do, if I say something that I don't realize is offensive, absolutely correct me and tell me why and help me to learn, because that's what the point of that podcast conversation that they had was. They want to help educate other people, and especially it seemed like that podcast was geared towards men because I'm not going to say men have a harder time with it because I've definitely seen some women say some wild, offensive, homophobic, transphobic things, but it was just a really good podcast, and I encourage everyone to listen to it. So again, that was Horrible Decisions.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. I think that I think
it was episode. I just want to clarify. It was episode 136. It came out October 13, 2019. Excuse me. Called "Am I Transphobic?" So please, guys, look that up if you listen to podcasts. It is a very important one. Even if you don't, y'all start today. Okay. I mean, obviously you do. You listen to us.
Right. I was just gonna say, I think there is something to be said about saying, correct me if I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because again, these aren't things that some people were taught at all. And again, it's crazy how much we shape our worlds, right? Like we shape our worlds in the way, like, and who we follow and the TV that we watch and stuff like that. There are still people out there that never heard of Pose, that still ain't never watched it. You know what I'm saying? And I just keep bringing up Pose because I feel like that was my first like big like look into a window of what an existence as a trans person is like. And then see what I think and that's why I think art is so important, right? Because although Pose is scripted, it is like really, really like factual, if that makes sense. Because after I watched Pose, I went and watched Paris is Burning, which is a documentary about the ballroom scene in it's either late 80s or early 90s, one or the other. And again, you're watching the movie and at the end it's talking about the people in the documentary being killed. And it's like, wow, like, it's bad, and it was really bad, you know what I'm saying? But it's just to say, I think that's why I think art is so important, because it does shape our actions, right? It inspired me to go watch Paris is Burning, which is something real, and it inspired me I'm sure in some way it inspired me to watch Disclosure. It inspired me to know that Halle Berry playing that role is not okay, like I think before Pose I didn't have not necessarily these thoughts, because I like to think that I recognize humanity very easily. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful I don't have to be like, oh, well, trans. That's too much. That's my cutoff line. Like, it's like, nah, nah. But yeah, so I just want to say that's why, oh, sorry, my bad. I got crossed up in what I was trying to say. Said it to say, I think it's okay to just be like, I don't know what I'm talking about. And I remember us talking about how you were saying sometimes you feel like when you're listening to the read that it feels like they're, the way they're speaking, you can't really get what they're saying because it's such an angry kind of tone. But see, for me, I know with the read particularly, when they get upset, it doesn't bother me because I'm like, I also understand how tiring this shit is. Like, am I still saying this after all this time? But at the very same time, I also get there are people out there that are like, okay, because you're talking to me like this, I can't get it. But I see both sides. But so to say that to say, if you're, I'm thankful for conversations like the one they had on Horrible Decisions, because you had somebody that was like, oh, I'm open to correcting you when you're wrong and I'm not going to be angry with you. But then you got them people that are also like, no, I'm finna cuss you out. So I get it. I definitely get it. But yeah, I'm sorry. Continue, please.
I think that was it. That was how I wanted to address it for the people and give you guys just tools to put in your toolbox and to use in your toolbox. So.
All right.
I'm done with that. I wanted to move on to sounds about white. So do you have one?
Simply arrest the police officers that killed Breonna Taylor.
Amen.
That is all I have for sounds about white. It was I tried to keep it short and simple with blank while black too. I just like to keep on saying. Arrest the people that killed Breonna Taylor. That's it for me. So go ahead, Queen, take it away.
There was a video. I have two. There was a video of from San Francisco, maybe a week or two ago, of Black Lives Matter painted in yellow on the street, and a woman is seen like slashing or sloshing, I guess, black paint all over to try to use her paint roller, and roll over all the words. And the woman was out there with a man. I don't know if it was her husband or what, but her husband was, or the man that was with her was trying to defend her and keep people from, interrupting her, wearing what looked like a Trump hat and a shirt that said 4 more years and Trump written on it that says, and the women were saying, keep this shit in New York. This is not happening in my town, of San Francisco, that is. And I just wanted to bring up that y'all have got to keep y'all racist bullshit to yourselves, because now both of these people are being charged with a violation of civil rights, vandalism under $400, and possession of tools to commit vandalism or graffiti, which are all misdemeanors according to the district attorney's office. Ooh. So first and foremost, I wanted to let you guys know that if they are convicted, they can face up to a year in county jail. Imagine. So when you want to be loud with your racism, I do understand that people are getting away with literal murder. Yes, I get that. But for the rest of the time, in general, at least when it comes to misdemeanors, it seems like you racist white people are going to have to see what it is. Like, y'all are going to have to see what the laws say about the bullshit y'all are doing. Yes, on the grand scheme of things, murder is far worse. And those people should be in jail and prison. But with that being said, I would think that you guys have seen enough of people losing their jobs, right? Of people getting filmed at their houses, of their children being put in harm's way because of their ignorant actions. So I just wanted to make the PSA that y'all have got to keep y'all loud racism. Y'all gonna have to start keeping that to yourselves, because you're gonna start racking up the misdemeanors, the fines, the jail time, the embarrassment, the loss of wages. Y'all are gonna be racking it up. So I would highly advise y'all to keep y'all racist bullshit to y'all motherfucking selves, or I guess to your Thanksgiving dinner tables where y'all usually have those conversations.
Yo, okay? It's wild that people are so racist, clearly, to the point that they don't care about losing their livelihood. Like, you don't care. Don't mind losing your job. You clearly don't mind going to jail. Like, 'cause I could completely understand, like, thinking, like, especially if you're watching people get away with murder, that you would think you could do other things too. But we have seen example after example after example of white people losing their jobs for doing and saying racist things, especially as of late. So it is wild to me to still be so racist that you're just like, I don't care that I'm going to starve next month because I'm going to get fired.
Right.
That's right.
Over somebody saying, hey, these lives matter. Like, that is making you so upset. Right. Again, y'all combat all that shit with, all lives matter. Well, if they did, girl, wouldn't that mean black? Well, right. So why can't we say black? Also, y'all don't ever, ever, ever correct motherfuckers when they say blue lives matter. Never does somebody say blue lives matter and y'all be like, no, all lives matter. No, when the motherfuckers say blue lives matter, y'all be like, yup, that's right, protect our police. Right. But when people say black, all of a sudden you got a problem with the word that's being used. So let's be clear. Your problem is with blackness. Your problem is absolutely you are a racist. Absolutely. Got it? Cool. Get to doing your Googles, girl, and Google some How to Be an Ally books, because that'll help you from here forward to not lose your jobs and to not go to jail. Okay, girl? Cool. That was my first Sounds About White. Get it together. Secondly, I wanted to bring up just a quick backstory and then to get into the tea. So Amy Cooper was the dumb girl choking her damn dog out in Central Park, trying to call the cops on a black man who was bird watching, minding his motherfucking business, with her raggedy ass dog running around barking at the birds. And he asked the woman, hey, the law says put your dog on a leash. You mind doing that? And the bitch decides she's going to call the cops on him and try to weaponize her phone call to the police towards this black man and say, oh, this African-American man is attacking me, blah, blah, blah. Well, Amy, you also are now facing charges with filing a false report. Shouldn't do that, girl. This is what we mean when we say keep your racist bullshit to your motherfucking self, because this was in Manhattan. So with that being said, the charges for New York City for filing a false report could have your ass into jail up to a year. Again, and girl, 3 years of probation. And don't forget your fines and your court fees. So, again, keep your bullshit to your motherfucking selves. Quit trying to weaponize us with your police calls and your white tears. Unacceptable. Tired of having to tell you guys this. So to all the non-racist white people that are listening, please talk to your aunties, your cousins, your moms, yourselves. I don't know. Talk to these people and make sure if y'all want to keep your jobs and keep your freedoms, maybe y'all should also be fighting for other people to have their jobs and freedoms, and stop trying to harass black people for literally living.
Right.
And to accompany this, not that this shouldn't have already been well into play for years and years, but now they are starting to put acts together to stop you Karens from showing your asses. The Karen Act has now been introduced in San Francisco and statewide in California, called the Caution Against Racially Exploitive Non-Emergencies. So that is basically saying, if y'all motherfuckers keep making your racially charged phone calls for no fucking reason when there is no emergency and no laws being broken, y'all are going to have to start paying fines and possibly going to jail if you don't stop using 911 for your tools of prejudice. Okay? So that was introduced, I don't know who did it first, but it was introduced by Supervisor Shaman Walton, who is a black supervisor on the board in San Francisco. But then also a similar ordinance was issued statewide to add to the AB 1550 bill. Not sure what all these words mean, but by the California Assemblyman Rob Bonta, who tweeted basically stop using 911 as your tool for prejudice, and that it is unlawful and you guys should be held accountable for fabricating false racially biased emergency reports. He said it is a waste of our time, a waste of your time, and a waste of resources. So you guys will be held accountable if you guys don't stop this bullshit. So I think both of the bills, I'm not sure. I think both of them have to be voted on first, and they haven't gotten to that step yet. But both of those bills have been introduced. But basically, nationwide, for the past few years, other states are starting to make bills like this. Grand Rapids, Michigan, they have one that could give you a fine up to $500. 2018, the New York State, they have a bill that can get you fines, also make you take sensitivity training and or jail time. So like we said, y'all, if y'all don't want these fines, y'all don't want to be in jail, y'all want to keep being able to cut out stars in your kids' peanut butter jelly sandwiches, then y'all might want to stop fucking with black people for no fucking reason, okay? That is my sounds about white. The Karen Act is coming for y'all asses. Stop being racist cunts and calling the cops for no motherfucking reason. Thank you. That's the end of my sounds about white.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Okay. And expectations?
Oh, yes. Expectations. I'd imagine we were going to be bringing up the same thing. So go ahead, Sid.
All right, y'all. Well, we are finally ready to discuss Jada Pinkett and August Alsina. So I watched both of the things.
What did you watch?
Jada Pinkett's Red Table Talk and August Alsina's interview with Angela Yee.
Okay.
Woo, this is a lot. The people are saying that Jada is a predator. And you know what's crazy? There's so much. This is so much. This is so much more than I originally thought it was. Like, at first I was just like, wow, Jada was with August Alsina. That's crazy. And that was one of the things I wrote down in my notes, was that's crazy because I didn't even know about none of this until right now. But I would like to say, amongst many of my feelings, that if Jada did not come to August's aid when he started losing money, friendships, and relationships over their alleged relationship, then I am upset with her for that, because that's whack to me. Also, the relationship should have never happened, because August Alsina clearly was not okay. When he was talking about, where did I write it down at? Oh, sorry, I got notes on both sides. Dying when the relationship ended, I was like, oh no. Two broken people, as a general rule of thumb, should not be in a relationship. And I know that Jada said that she gravitates towards broken people, and I know there are people out there that like to fix their significant others. And I just think that I feel like, and so that's why I'm like, I can see why people are saying that it was predatory, because to be able to look at a person and know that they're broken, and to then enter a relationship with that person because you like to fix people, and to be broken in the way that it sounds like August Alsina was, I'm just like, oh yeah. And then for him to say he died after the relationship ended, I was just like, oh, Jada, girl, yeah, no, this. And I don't know how broken Jada was either, right? I get that too. But yeah, I just feel like that was a lot. I was just not prepared. I was not prepared. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I wanted to okay. My first thought is none of our business. And
absolutely.
I actually wanted to be like, girl, why did you even come to the red table? Because to me, I hear what you're saying by saying like she should have came to his defense kind of thing. But to me, I'm like, personal business. And if anybody knows about it, they know about it because you told them, because I didn't say a word. Like, you know, I minded the business that pays me, and you should do the same. But with that being said, I thought it was a good thing that they had the red table talk, because people are so obsessed with this idea of what this patriarchal idea really of what a relationship is and what a marriage is. And it's annoying to me, because to me, people hear Jada and Will say life partnership, we don't call it marriage, and they be like, oh my God, oh, they have an open relationship, da-da-da. It's like, well, for one, they didn't say that. For two, so like, who cares? You motherfuckers have open relationships all the time. You just don't tell your significant others that you are. Like, the thing is, most of y'all have so much to say about what they're doing and how you could never, and how your significant other can never. And I'm like, well, you're not married, so who the fuck cares what could or couldn't happen in your life? Who says that you'll ever get married, girl? Who says anybody ever wants to marry you? But with that being said, I understand that people are like, oh, you took the role of guru and this, that, and third. But it's like, you don't know that. Like, Jada said in her talk, by her own words, that basically, and she has said it on the show before, like the things that they said kind of intersected with other conversations that they've had as far as her and Will being on the red table together, saying they literally said before, we took time apart. I wasn't happy and we took time apart. We weren't together anymore. We basically said, go figure out what makes you happy, because obviously I can't make you happy. You got to be the one to figure out how to make you happy. And she basically said that within that time is when she and August had however long of a relationship they had, and then it ended, and she and Will made their way back to each other, and she came to understanding that I won't find happiness in other people.
Absolutely.
And I thought it was a really good conversation to have, because it's like so many people already have this idea of like, nope, when you're married, it's only supposed to be you and them and this and that, and everything's supposed to be peachy once you get married. Like, that's not realistic at all. Like, you will not point out one married couple that hasn't been through the rocky times. You know what I mean? Like, everything ain't perfect. Everything ain't peaches. And that is okay. But the problem is everybody wants to be like, oh, well, we'll just throw away the whole person then. Like, you know, if this particular thing didn't work at this particular time, I'm throwing this whole human being away because they're my possession, and my possession is not doing what I told them to do. And I guess that's how I looked at it, because I can relate to Jada in the sense of saying I don't feel fulfillment unless I'm helping someone. And that's not their fault. It's and I don't know that it's my fault, but it is my I guess toxic trait maybe. It's a hard time for me to think of it as being a toxic trait, but I think when I like see this story in particular, I'm like, oh, maybe that is toxic. That I feel like I'm not worthy of life if I'm not doing something to help someone else. Like, well, what the hell is your purpose, Aisha? You think you were put on this earth to just be you and that's it? Like, and be happy? No, girl, you got to be helping other people. You ain't, feed somebody that was hungry today, then you're useless. So to me, I get it. And to be like, well, they should have been in a relationship. Like, that's not really how relationships work. Like, oh, well, we just two people who decided to be. I think sometimes things are just organic in that way, where you just find yourself in a relationship, which, you know, our generation is calling situationships, you know. You just find yourself in it. I mean, hell, Jada got her own term for it, entanglement. So shit, it's like we find ourselves in relationships and situationships and entanglements, you know what I mean? Maybe without the conscious decision to do it.
Is there any, and you know what's crazy? I actually, last week, I think it was last week, you said that cheating isn't a big deal. What were we talking? Do you remember what we were talking about on the podcast? To pair, but so actually, before I
don't remember the topic we were talking about, but I do remember saying that, yeah.
And so now, see, for me, I disagree with that, right? Mm-hmm. And so, but I feel like because cheating is a conscious decision, and let me make it very clear, I don't think that Jada cheated. Mm-hmm. Because they weren't together. So I don't know why people are saying that.
They weren't together, and allegedly they didn't have sex.
Who, Will Smith? I mean, August?
August and Jada.
I'm not talking about August. I'm talking about Will and Jada not being together and people calling Jada a cheater. Like, I'm like, what are you, are y'all listening to what's being said here? Now, again, if we want to go back and forth about whether Jada is a predator, that just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But to say, oh, no, Jada cheated. No. That is not at all what happened in their relationship. You are projecting 100% by saying that, because both Will and Jada out of their mouths. Now, you can sit here and say they're lying or whatever, but all we can do is take what they're telling us and as truth, right? Because we're not in the relationship. First of all, Breonna Taylor's killers are still on the loose. That's really what's more important. But either way, we're here. We're talking about it. But it's again, sorry, to get back to the question I also wanted to ask you too is, why is cheating not a big deal to you? Is it because you think it's a mistake?
Me personally, I just think that society just has like very rigid rules against for like what you do when you're somebody else's property, and I just personally don't really think it's realistic. I'm not saying that there are relationships that everybody is in a relationship is cheating or has cheated or will cheat or whatever. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is, I just think that. I mean, because people could say that she cheated long before they were apart as far as emotionally. And that could be a thing, too. Like, so to me, it's like cheating isn't always sticking your dick in somebody, or cheating isn't always hiding text messages. You know, cheating can be a whole lot of things, which is why I think that you can recover from those things.
And I'm not saying...
me personally. And also, if they have a certain relationship, even if I told you, right, like if I said, you know, you're my husband and you get a night pass. And you're like, okay, okay, whatever. I give you a night pass. But then you don't tell me whether you use it or not. And so I assume like you didn't use it. But it's like, well, you told me I could. Like, what you tripping about? Now that you done found out, you already told me I could, but you just got mad because you found out I actually did. To me, that kind of seems like Will and Jada to a certain extent. It's like, well, I don't know that they had an open relationship. Those are just, you know, media rumors that, again, I don't care about, because I don't care what rules people have for their particular relationship. I think my main thing is that people are, like you said, projecting what they decide are the rules of their relationship and talk about what they could never do. And it's like, well, you're not them. Who cares? Who cares what you could never do? Like, why are you clowning somebody for what happened in their relationship is beyond, like, it's weird to me. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I definitely don't think Jada and Will, I don't think Jada cheated because she said they were literally not together. He said out of his own mouth, like, I wanted nothing to do with you. So it's not cheating to me, but I just feel like I think we make decisions regardless of how we feel about people. So I think that Jada decided to, be in that relationship, and I don't think that it's okay when you know that someone's broken like that. I think, and again, you can say, the emotions are overwhelming, but you still have to make that decision.
But I think too, though, who is anybody to say that she's gone and she's all knowing of his pain and how her pain will affect his pain? You know what I mean? Because she literally said how unhappy and how hurt and how devastated and depressed that she was too. So you can't say that like, oh, well, you're in your right mind and you're a guru and you're supposed to be helping him, and then all of a sudden you're in a relationship. It was like, well, for one, it takes two. It's not my fault that we were in a relationship. It's both of ours. We both made that decision. Whether he was quote unquote broken, like people are just trying to label whose brokenness was more intense. And you can't do that. You can't put a level on somebody else's brokenness. Like if I tell you I'm depressed, you don't get to say, well, oh, well, you're depressed. Well, well, I'm upset about this, or I have anxiety, so mine is worse. It's like, well, you can't really like gauge my depression. Like we can just both be hurt in our own way, in which we cannot relate to the other person's hurt, and that's fine too. And I think that I don't know. I'm not team let's bash Jada because she should have known better. I'm just not of that. I'm not of that ideal when I feel like it takes two people. And if they both speak to how broken they both were at the time. Jada was so broken in herself that she couldn't even be in her marriage, you know, that she had for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's like, it's not fair to say, well, she should have known better. She shouldn't have been in a relationship with this young man. It's like, what? Like, why? Like, y'all, and by y'all, I mean them, you know, y'all don't ever care when older men are in a relationship with young, impressionable women.
I absolutely do. Which is
why
that's what
I'm saying, not you.
Which is why I think that's why I can say that and be secure. Because see, what I was actually about to do was look up and see how old August Alsina is. Because to me, if you're under 25, you have like depending on.
I want to say he's 27 right now. I want to say. So I guess they were in a relationship maybe 23.
Yeah, so he was 23. Yeah, and Jada's how old?
Like 43. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think that when you're that much older than the person that you should be dating anybody under 25. And that's for me as a more of a psychological standpoint. If your brain is not done developing, like if I was 50, I don't foresee myself dating someone that's that much younger than me, because me and Khalid were just talking about this yesterday. I don't know what we would talk about. But
yeah.
So say that to say, it's kind of like me and Khalid were literally talking about this yesterday. Like if we can't talk, if you don't know what sister is, we don't have nothing to talk about. So like, which for instance, like Marcus Houston, right? Not to change subjects.
But still, Sid, those are superficial things. Like how I say, like, who gives a fuck what your favorite color is? How do you feel about trans people, specifically black ones, having a life expectancy of 34? Maybe they related on much higher levels of thinking that it's like, well, I don't give a fuck if you know who Teddy Pendergrass is.
I just personally am not finna be messing with no 18-year-old and I'm 50. That's just weird to me.
she found and he found, but they both found that, wow, this is not at all where I need to be. And I thought maybe she thought, I don't think that she went into it with this intention, so it's kind of hard to say, but maybe she thought, well, this young man can give me life and help me feel good again. I haven't felt good, mentally and physically. Maybe she hasn't felt young or whatever the fuck. I don't know the woman. And again, that's why I think like people are like, oh, she only took herself to the table for 10 minutes. Well, half the episodes are only 20 or 30 minutes. So how long was she supposed to talk to herself? Shit.
I have a question.
What's up?
What do you feel about people dating people under the age of 25 that are that much older than them, generally speaking?
I mean, generally, I could agree that I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
But I think that it's not my place to, again, like tell somebody what their relationship should look like. That's
even if they're dating someone that's like basically underage?
Underage, no. But again, like people's idea of what underage is different. I mean, most people would say 18, but you're kind of saying 25. I think disagreeing with, and again, but I just think that everybody has the right to decide what is right for them, and it takes two people. I don't know.
I wonder how much of this is you feeling this way because it's Jada, and I know you like Jada.
You're right. I do like Jada. I will probably admit that I'm maybe a little biased, but I also be like, she literally is telling y'all she was hurting. Like, what does she have to do for y'all to believe her? Also be addicted to
it's not that I don't at all believe that she wasn't hurting. It's just, again, I guess I see it this way too, also because I just don't think that people should enter relationships when they're broken. That broken, you know what I'm saying? Like, and again, I also understand, but I guess I'm just lucky to have gotten here at such an early age that I shouldn't be looking for my happiness in another person, which is so interesting because I want to know when Will had that epiphany, because I literally remember seeing a quote from him that said like, you can't find happiness in other people. So it's interesting that he knew that at whatever age, and Jada still didn't know that 4 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, again,
they both had that talk on the Red Table together, and I don't remember exactly what episode it was, but they both basically said that. So it was not funny, but it's interesting that this came full circle, and she had to be like, yeah, basically this is when I came to that epiphany. It was like during the time of dating him, or maybe right after we broke it off or whatever, that she learned, wow, I'm actually not going to get happy just because I'm with this other person. Like, so my happiness isn't going to come from the other person. It has to come from me. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I
think maybe they both learned that lesson together, or maybe he did before. I don't know.
I think for me, I'm always afraid of the things that I'm making excuses for just because I like the person. Like, I don't want to be like R. Kelly fans, if that makes sense. Because again, like I said, for me, the general rule of thumb for me now, regardless of what the law says, is that now I'm not talking about I'm 19 dating an 18-year-old. I'm not even talking about I'm 20 dating an 18-year-old. But Marcus Houston being 38 dating an 18-year-old girl is strange to me. I don't
so
think.
Is your issue with the fact that he was maybe sick, or is your issue with the fact that she's so much older?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both the fact that he was under 25 and she is 40 something. Because again, like I said, I try not to be, oh, well, it's a boy, so it's different. Like, no. And we are, especially because we know boys mature slower than girls, right? So then he's even younger than that, quote unquote, if the science is correct on a maturity scale. So there's that. And it's the fact that he was broken. And Jada says that she likes to fix broken people, which means she can sense that in people. And to me, I'm like, I feel like that is the definition of what predators do, right? Isn't that what R. Kelly did to all them little girls? And I'm not trying to say that Jada Pinkett is the same thing as R. Kelly, but they literally were saying, based off my experience of the R. Kelly documentary, he seemed very particular about the girls he went after. Yeah. Because of the things
which I think, too, is like, but you can't. Yeah, I mean, you can't even relate it as far as like, oh, that was his thing. It was like, this was to our knowledge, a one-time situation.
Oh, how many times does it take, though? You know what I'm saying? Does it, like, you know what I mean? Like, again, I just feel like I'm making excuses because it's Jada. And I don't want to do that. I just want to be, it's like, I want to have a way of thinking about things. And if you do this or do that, then that means you're this thing. And again, that's not me trying to say that she's a bad person, right? That's not me trying to say that, but I'm just saying in this situation, because again, like if we're gonna use Dr. Ibram Kendi's way of looking at things, right? He says that people are neither, well, if I am paraphrasing correctly, people are neither racist nor anti-racist. It's just in every situation, with every action and everything you say, it's either racist or anti-racist. So maybe in this, if that can be true as far as being a predator, this action seemed predatory. And I had to have a friend say that to me, right? Because I know if it hadn't been for my friend us having that conversation, I wouldn't have reached that conclusion, because I am a Jada fan. And even once the interview was over, I still was watching it like, man, I love Will and Jada. You know what I'm saying? It's something about them.
And I saw the most interesting comments, though. Like, they're very invested. That's for sure. Like, people are like, oh my God, she's joking and, makes up a handshake. I'm like, you do realize that her husband, the one who is choosing, I mean, he's a grown, very, very wealthy man. He was choosing to be by his wife's side because they have a relationship and a bond that clearly most people, and especially the millennials that have so many comments, can relate to. You cannot relate to it. And just let it go, people. Talking about something, oh, she's making a joke of it. They literally both said it's been years, and we are actually bewildered that he just come back up, because we've already gone through, the anger, the emotions of anger and sadness and forgiveness and healing and moving forward, and now it's randomly, been brought up.
I mean, and it's interesting
also,
too.
I wanted to throw in real quick though, two things. One, like as far as discrepancy that was just kind of interesting to me, that I wanted to see if anybody else either caught it or had any I guess conversation to add to it. But for one, I was like, not my business, but I would like to know the actual timeline, because she had said on the Red Table that she hadn't talked to him in years, and he's literally been on the Red Table.
Yeah, and that's what people. I caught that too.
He was on the Red Table in July of 2018, so literally 2 years ago, he was on the Red Table having the conversation about addiction. So I was like, was that towards the tail end of his addiction? Was that before the relationship? Was that during the relationship? Because she said she hasn't talked to him in years, and I was like, well, if this was 4 years ago, did she have a 2-year relationship with the young man? I don't know. But that, and then also, men that hate women, like they always do, are talking about how much, that can't be Will, or how they feel bad for Will and X, Y, and Z. And I was like, did y'all just choose to ignore, or did you genuinely not hear towards the end when Will was joking about getting her back and then he'd forgive her? And like, he's going to get even first and then he'll forgive her. And then she's like, oh, actually, honey, you've done that plenty of times. I think we're good. Yeah. Like, y'all want to ignore that part that like, oh, Jada's just some skanky old cheating ass girl, even if all she did was have an emotional or an intimate not romantic, but an intimate emotional connection with another person when they weren't together, but that Will has possibly done this physically and intimately and romantically with people while they were all together. Like, y'all want to ignore that part? Okay, like, whatever helps y'all sleep at night, but just admit, like, we should ask y'all every day, just admit that y'all hate women. That's all. That's all we ask. Yeah,
I definitely caught that, because that definitely was something that I like, that stuck with me from the interview, was when she was like, oh no, you already have. Because that was the thing that everybody was so mad at Jada for allegedly cheating, which we know she didn't. But I was like, we don't also, like, we're focusing on her side though. We don't know what even led to her being so disconnected from the relationship in the first place, right? And that's not to say Will did cheat it, but I'm saying, what if that's what it was, and everybody's just, oh, Jada cheated, and it's like, well, maybe
and
he
the
did
thing
too.
is, I was like, because people are like, well, I wonder why he chose to come to the table, and I was like, I think it's interesting that he did, because to me, it's like, well, he had to come to the table, maybe not even so much of like, let me defend her because we are in a better place now, but it looked to me, and I'm not as invested, but to me, it was more like, well, I'm here because I have to support you, because your dirty laundry is only out because, Black Twitter and, the Angela Yee interview has forced it to come out. My dirty laundry is not out. So I might as well stick by your side, because we all know that I have my own dirty laundry that just hasn't come out. It's a
possibility, right?
Hopefully won't come out. So I was like, honestly, y'all just like to ignore the parts that you don't want to hear or see. So to me, it was just like, I guess I was and am supportive, not of the actions of Jada, because I don't think that they were right, but I just can understand, I guess, to an extent of like, well, hurt people, and that's just what it is. I don't know. But okay. Done with that?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
All right, y'all. Well, after Sexpectations comes Black on Black support. Sid, do you have any?
I do. I have one.
Okay, cool.
If you guys are going to be in Charlotte on August 7th, Dakota Ayana at 6 p.m., Dakota Ayana, the artist, the poet, the author, the muralist, is having an art show.
Come on, titles.
And it is at 1218 East 36th Street. I've read that really, really wrong. But anyway, I just wanted to shout out her art show, because she's working very hard. I haven't been on Instagram really a lot since the whole 50 Cent Lil Wayne thing, but before that, I was seeing her work a lot on different pieces and getting ready for it. So I just wanted to shout her out for having an art show. I don't think this is the first one, but I just think that's so dope to like go through the process of like booking a venue, a day, a time, a place, doing all the work for the art, right, and then having a show that people can come and see. I think that is so cool. So shout out to Dakota Ayana, who you can follow on Instagram at that name, which is spelled DAKOTAH AIYANNA. Every time I say her name on here, I'll be like, woo, let me breathe first, because this is so take a while. But yeah, you can follow her there. And that, again, like I said, that is the artist, and that'll be August 7th if you're in Charlotte, 6 p.m., 1218 East 36th Street in Charlotte, North Carolina. Come through and support the queen, a Black queen out here making Black art. It's a good time. That is my Black on Black support.
With that being said, my Black on Black support is all Black women. We celebrate you. We love you. Our brown skin queens, our dark skin queens. We want to especially lift you guys up and say that we love y'all. We support y'all. We gonna tell these niggas to pull up, because it is about all of us pulling up together on the same home front. Don't just mumble it under your breath that you celebrate Black women. Do it, and do it loudly and proudly.
Absolutely.
First and foremost. So with that being said, some Black women that I want to celebrate this week is going first to Erin, who has a page called Black Girl Theory. That's Black without the A. Black Girl Theory. Where she is doing weekly IG lives called Soul Work Sessions. She just had an episode with one of our favorite girls, Kalia Michelle. But she has another episode coming out July 14th, then July 21st, July 28th, and August 4th. Again, these are IG live sessions. They are really, really dope conversations that I would encourage y'all to be a part of. Hers and Kalia's were about racial capitalism, so that was really important conversation to have and to be a part of. And so then that's Black Girl Theory, and then moving on to Kalia Michelle. She has Let's Breathe Together. That's an Eventbrite ticket that you can get to go to her Zoom call, get her Zoom meeting information. I'm not sure what next episode's conversation is about. Is it an extension of LBGT? Sid, do you know?
I'm sorry, what happened?
Is Kalia's next episode an extension of LBGT?
It is a conversation about gender roles, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. It's gonna be the next one. Okay. I feel like, I don't know, like when we got done, because I stayed on like for the debrief, because like we wrapped up at 9, but there was still like 7 people on the call at like 9:30, 9:45. But they were talking about either colorism is the next topic, or gender roles, or both. It's one of the combination, or one or the other.
Okay, so those are typically an hour and a half to 2 hour conversations for Kalia's, and her next one is July 16th, which July 16th is a day after our giveaway launches. Don't forget.
Oh, yeah.
So that link is in her bio. The next one I wanted to shout out is Jessica Haynes. Again, y'all, we talked about her last week also, but From the Mouths of Black Women is an IG live show that she is having. Her next episode is also July 16th and then July 23rd, July 30th. But July 16th is From the Mouths of Black Women, an episode on mental health. So that's Jessica Haynes. That's JUSSICA Those are IG lives on her page. So those are 3 forums that y'all guys can get a part of to have conversation. So that's the first part of my shout out. The second part of my shout out is going to go to Dr. Priscilla Johnson at Echo Daisy Home on Instagram. She has her whole line of cleaning products, y'all. I wanted y'all to be reminded that we have a coupon code for the living room. Y'all, she has dish soap, laundry detergent, multi-purpose cleaner, disinfectant wipes, etc. So just so y'all know, if y'all go on echodaisyusa.com and use the living room 10, that is your promo code to save some ducats. I know I used it when I bought stuff from her website to be clean in my home. If y'all want to be clean and closer to God, then I suggest going to @EcoDaisyHome on Instagram or ecodaisyusa.com and using our coupon code to purchase, y'all. And lastly, my shout out, again, Black women, is going to blacksunflower.co. Again, that's black without an A, blacksunflower.co. The shout out is going to Jazzy, who invited Sydney and I to her SIP game night.
Yes.
Or sip and get lit, something like that. Game night, but it was so much fun, y'all. I thought I was like, game night on Zoom? That sounds stupid. It was the most fun I've had maybe the entirety of quarantine as far as Zoom goes, etc. Because, you know, it's hard to interact with people just via phone or FaceTime, etc. So that was an extremely fun time. But I wanted to shout her out for not only being a dope-ass Black woman and creating that space for Black women to just have a good time, drink wine, play games, etc., and win prizes. She had prizes on there, y'all. Like, we was really getting spoiled out here in these streets. But I also wanted to shout out that she has some dope ass candles that y'all need in your life.
Absolutely.
We will have some in our giveaway from her. So I'm so excited for them to get in the mail this week because I will be smelling them all. Sorry if any of your candles have my nose print in them. But I just wanted to bring to your attention a couple of the names just so y'all have an idea of what they are. The very first one on her site is a pre-order candle. It's called Tall, Dark, and Handsome, y'all. She said, this candle, and I quote, is a candle that you can think of basically when you see an image of Michael B. Jordan, that is her candle. She said you can smell the candle and you can just imagine that he's there with you if that's your cup of tea. My cup of tea is Idris Elba, so that's what I'll be sniffing for. But it is a mixture of chocolate, cranberry, and coconut. She has another candle called Pillow Talk that is lavender and vanilla. I love lavender. Another candle called All That Jazz, which is lemongrass, mango, and almond. Y'all, these are big coconut soy candles. So,
yeah,
I know you can't get enough. There's also one called Melanin. There's one called Per My Last Email, which I wanted just because, you know, shady boots. But yeah, so blacksunflower.co is my last Black on Black support. Queens of the Black on Black support, y'all. I just want to say that I appreciate y'all. I love each of y'all individually for who you are, for what you represent, and for having such loud voices in our communities and giving us space to be loud and Black and proud. So thank y'all, Queens. That is the end of my Black on Black support.
It was amazing. I just want to say real quick, I know you wrapped up, but I just want to say that the way they were talking about those candles in that Zoom game sesh, it just sounded like we needed to all get our lives. So say that to say.
No, literally the way her customers were talking about it on the Zoom call, I was literally like, oh my God. So do I need the whole collection? Or
right.
You guys are talking about this, like, literally, they would be like, what's your favorite candle? And these girls are arguing about which one is the best candle. And I was like, wow, I need these candles. So I cannot wait to put them in your giveaway box. Wow. Guys.
Right. So say that to say, y'all better get on that giveaway because it sounds like your life finna be blessed.
Your life is finna be blessed, y'all. So, heck yeah.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So mental health check-in?
Mental health check-in. Do you have anything said?
Do I have I guess I might as well keep it to my dark skinned queens out there. I just want to say I hope you all are all right. And I don't know. I was thinking about it earlier and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this anger? I wish I could go to a boxing gym I think that might be a good place to go. I think stereotypically that's always the first place my mind goes, and it's like, oh, how do you get out anger? Oh, punch a bag. But I don't have that at my disposal. But I don't know, just just to my dark skin sisters out there that's dealing with this nonsense. Actually, you know what? Mental health check-in. I just found this page on Instagram.
I was gonna say, if you don't want to go to a boxing gym, you could just find the next closest black man who's not standing up for you and box his ass.
There's a IG page called The Darkest Hue, darkest dot, like with a period, hue. And it's a safe space for dark skinned girls. So
and you know what, you can also be chilling in your rooms blasting Brown Skin Girl by Beyonce all day.
Then there's that. So I just want to say, anything and everything you can do to take care of yourself, I say do it, because I know if you've been going through what I've been going through, it has been rough. It's a rough life, you know what I'm saying? And hopefully, I don't know, maybe as the world is changing, as much as we hope that it's changing, with defunding of police and disbanding of police and the arrest of crazy white women calling the police and everything, maybe, at the same time, colorism will change. But the first thing we got to do is admit it to ourselves. But until then, my good dark skin queens out there, please do what you must to get through the day. I wish I had advice on what that is, but I just say whatever makes you happy. Meditate, yoga, eat some ice cream, just whatever brings you joy. That's my mental health check-in.
Mine is, I have this like little book, I don't know if it's a mental health book. It's actually called like anxiety something. It's a 52-week like list of things you can do. But on my thing this week, it was think of all the songs that you like to play when you're like really stressed out, or you just want to have a good day. Like, think of all the things that you would put on your quote unquote playlist. And I was like, who would I put on my playlist? That's a good question. It said just basically list as many that come to the top of your head. So I had put some Solange Knowles on there. I put some Snow Allegra. I put Ari Lennox on there. I put Alina Baraz on there. I had... Gosh, just so many artists. And then I flipped to the next page, and the page said to take that list that you have and continue to curate it, but basically put yourself together a playlist that you play whenever you're feeling very anxious. Because you've already said off the top of your head, you listed as many as you could. And of course, when you start listening to those songs, you think of other ones that you can add, but it was like, start there and go ahead and put yourself together a calming, relaxing playlist that helps you get through your anxiety if you're having a rough day. Or even if you're having a good day and you just want something calming and relaxing, it doesn't have to just be, instrumental, quote unquote, yoga music. Your calming playlist can be whatever you want it to be. Hell, if you get calm for some reason by listening to Trap House 3 by Gucci Mane, then by all means put that on your playlist. But basically just find ways to calm yourself, to relax yourself, and celebrate the fact that music can pull us through a whole lot of things, if we allow it to have that power. So that's my mental health check-in.
All right, yes, ma'am. All right, so we're ready to take them out with some affirmations.
Affirmations, if you got one.
Let's see. I feel like I said be gentle with yourself last week, but I just feel like I still, where I'm at right now.
That's good. That works. So be gentle with yourself.
That and breathe. Everybody, please take some deep breaths. Do a breathing, one of those breathing meditation videos on YouTube. You know what? I got an app too. What's that app called? Sorry, y'all. Let me throw this out.
Is it called the Calm app?
No, that one costs. So it's called Insight. Insight. Yeah, it does. It's called Insight Timer, and it was sent to me by Dakota Ayana. So shout out to her again. And it's got like songs or music to sleep to. It's got 7-day meditation tutorials on there. It's full of all the best, spiritual things. So
check for $3.99. I can get with that.
Right. So check that out, y'all. I feel like that is probably the best thing I can say for affirmations would be download Insight Timer. Take a deep breath, and be gentle with yourself. Oh yeah. Also, I'm gonna sign off because Aisha's gonna take us out. About to bop to this good old jam at the end of the podcast, as we always do. I love y'all. Take care. Aisha, tell the people what's up.
Okay. All right, people. Well, my affirmation for y'all was that for anybody listening to this podcast right now, if you were thinking, I wish I could, I wanted to, I should have, if you were looking for a sign to do something, I want you to take this opportunity right now to take this as your sign, y'all. If you're waiting on a sign to do something, to take a risk, This is it. Y'all hear me? This is it. This is your sign. Take a leap of faith. Do something fun. Do something new. If you're waiting on your sign, this is it. With that being said, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Do the things you need to do to figure out how to be an ally. To be an ally, if you're outside of our race, to be an ally to our race. If you are within our race, to be an ally to the multiple shades of blackness and all the beauty that encompasses. And if you are a part of that group, make sure that you are doing your part to be an ally to people who are not like you, whether that's a different religion, a different gender or sexual orientation, to your LGBTQIA communities. Make sure that you are doing your best to be an ally and go out of your way to ask yourself what that looks like and to Google it. Do the things you need to do, y'all. So long Black Ass Podcast. Keep your eyes peeled for the giveaway, y'all. So many awesome things coming for y'all this week. It is launching, y'all. By the time this episode posts, you might only have a day or two to braid your edges down because it's coming. I'm not playing with y'all.
Right.
With that being said, Sydney, go ahead and crank up that Diamond Young No Encore. We are out. Get the fuck out the living room. Peace.
In this race, no one left to go. Apple of my eye, but you ain't tell me you the green one. Sour patch, I was still attaching to your tree stump. Ain't no pick me up that can get me up.